Hello, my name is Tina Andrews. Thank you for joining us today as we do our pregnancy and postpartum webinar on religious and cultural influences on birth and the reason for doulas to help honor and support these beliefs. So I'm going to show you some videos, some statistics, and share with you some of these. All right, so today we're going to talk about examples of cultural differences. During pregnancy, women from, let me start again. We're going to talk about cultural and religious beliefs. So culture is the behaviors and beliefs characteristic of a particular social, ethnic, or age group. Truly, it can be any group. Religion is a specific fundamental set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, usually involving devotional or ritual observances and often containing a moral code governing the conduct of human affairs. And then cultural beliefs, values, and traditions can significantly affect individuals' attitudes towards the modes of delivery, childbirth delivery, their definition of different modes, and the decisions they make in regard to childbirth, pregnancy, and postpartum care. So some examples of these that we might be familiar with are during pregnancy, women from some cultures do not eat certain foods. During labor, women from some cultures avoid moving too much. Some stay laying down. Some prefer to sit or squat. In some cultures, the father does not attend the birth, but the mother or the mother-in-law does. And then after childbirth, in the postpartum period, some women follow strict rules, such as staying in bed for several days, or certain foods, certain temperatures, certain customs. So let's look at some of these customs. This is one from Guatemala. So let us look at this. Hold on. Okay.
Buenos días, señoritas, buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, buenos días, Señor y Creador y Formador de la vida.
Lo más agradable de las comadronas y de mis compañeras, que ellas me decían que soy fuerte, que soy valiente, y me decían palabras positivas, y también mi comadrona me decía, mi hija, decía, tú puedes, me dijo, y siempre estaban conmigo, me apoyaban. Entonces sí, eso me sentía muy segura. Fue muy bonito bonita experiencia estar dando a luz en mi propia casa. Aquí está la nena. Mamá, ya.
No fue difícil, porque como ella colaboró mucho, entonces no fue difícil. Fue una experiencia muy bonita. Muy bien.
Ok, ahí está. Ya, respira. Ahí está. Ahí está. Respire. Poquito a poquito.
Es una emoción, es una alegría decir que mi ahijada yo la estoy atendiendo.
¿No? Ahí es soñar.
Y decir, Dios mío, muchas gracias porque este parto salió bien, la bebé está bien, salió luego la placenta. Lo vamos a enterrar en el temazcal, porque nosotros somos de la tierra y a la tierra tiene que volver.
Juntamos la familia y hacemos un poco de almuerzo. Dice que nos ayuda a dar fuerza, o sea que ayuda a tener buena leche a la nena. Siempre hacemos, es nuestra costumbre.
So we saw many different cultural pieces of the birth experience for that community in Guatemala. So we saw the family and community members coming together. We saw bathing, the preparing of a meal. If you'll notice, the godmother said to the mother, don't drink anything cold. We saw them burying the placenta. There were very specific religious reasons for that. So there are a lot of different cultural beliefs there that might be different from, other birthing women's beliefs. So it's important to know, to be able to communicate with the mother, and also to honor those traditions. So, today we're looking at lots of different cultural beliefs. And why is that important here in the US? Well, we have a lot of people that have immigrated here from different countries. We have first and second generation women who are having babies, whose families still believe and practice these traditions. And there are spiritual and cultural reasons why they do, to help prepare a foundation for that baby and for that mother that will help them stay healthy, both emotionally, culturally, and in their religion. So we're going to look at a different country. So now we're going to look at Haiti. Maybe. Technology. Maybe not. Let's see. Thank you so much for your patience as we wind through this technology. And I wanted to give you some different dynamics from some different cultures, different women and their experiences. So the next we are going to look at is in Haiti.
Oui, mon cousin moi qui était enceinte, on a pendant l'enceinte, il est allé à l'hôpital. Elle est levée peut-être les badges de docteur, il est mort là-dedans. En devant lui, pendant tête lui a sorti, il est mort là-dedans. Mon café il est temps pour me marcher. Pas tellement, oui, mon café il est temps, saute là, mettez un bol là, aller me faire un bol là, me café un pile temps. Avant pour me jeune machine parce que pas toutes les machines je voulais monter marigot.
Pour le accès, mais dis-nous, c'est un grand défi. Jusqu'à présent, c'est un grand défi pour nous. Ou nous t'avons aimé comme si que famille a accouché dans des conditions côté que côté sans risque.
L'hôpital là avec une femme Miss Roche, il a apprécié mon pile. Jean lui servi à mon et puis tout Jean lui apprécié mon tout.
Jacques nous dit parfois il y a l'impression qu'il n'a jamais fini. Pour qu'on commence, ça va dépendre, ça arrive que depuis à 3h du matin on réveillé. Depuis à 3h du matin on commence le travail. Parfois, si il y a une femme enceinte qui vient en travail, soit qui vient pour un autre problème quelconque, donc on est obligé là pour lui, quel que soit l'heure, on est obligé là. En tant que sage-femme, côté vraiment plus sentir bien, c'est dans ça l'accouchement. C'est ça l'accouchement parce que pour moi-même, c'est le meilleur moment dans la vie femme là. Comme si qui était en grossesse, qui était 9 mois avec une grossesse et puis qui besoin ouais petite li dans joie. Parce que nous partager joie ça avec nous partager attente là. Tant que femme n'a prétend petite et nous même tout n'a prétend. Donc c'est comme si c'est pour moi-même c'est le meilleur moment. Mais ça femme dans la vie. Il baille la vie.
So that was another picture of birth in another country. And we have a growing population of Haitian families here in Delaware. And think about the experience of birth in Haiti and then having to have a birth here in the US and how different that is for these families and how they have to find that intersection between their cultural and religious beliefs, their traditions, their experience of birth and their relationship with health providers, and then the care and medical attention that they might need. We will talk about some supports for women of all colors from all different cultural backgrounds and experiences here in the US that we can provide. But now we're also going to look at what the experience is like in the US for some different communities. Nope. Okay. Again, please bear with me. It is being tricky. So, in the US, you might think, since we are a advanced nation, that we don't face some of these challenges of infant and maternal health. But we do face some of these similar challenges. So let me share this with you.
Is the same.
Several months into her pregnancy, Aline Perez faced a crisis. She didn't have health insurance, and as a new immigrant, she didn't qualify for government assistance.
Seria bem complicado.
It's very complicated to have a baby without insurance. It's very hard.
Unable to pay for a doctor, Perez eventually found this clinic, which works with charities. She believes without it, her unborn baby may be at risk.
If you need a midwife to answer your questions, call this one.
Such cases are common. A 2008 report blames America's high infant mortality rate on a relatively weak social safety net, a lack of access to preventive care, and high poverty rates. Studies also show racial bias may play a role. For example, the US government says the infant mortality rate for African American babies is almost twice as high as for their white counterparts.
Big face, yep.
Months ago, 2 doctors told Sonia Lindo she wasn't pregnant.
I honestly think that they thought I was joking, and I wasn't.
In pain, she finally went to a hospital where she learned she was more than 7 months into her term.
If I knew what I knew now, I would have had all the prenatal care I can get. But I couldn't do nothing because I didn't know.
Lots of vegetables. Do you eat your vegetables, honey?
The Centers for Disease Control says African American mothers are twice as likely as white women to receive late or no prenatal care.
We have a system of care that is very inequitable. So if you're low income, if you're of color, if you're uninsured, you are likely going to have a different level of care, which results in these poor outcomes.
The US government says it's working to make quality care available to low-income women. It funds state-run perinatal programs to help reduce infant deaths.
We're working with parents and through our home visiting programs to make sure that they're getting the education and support and linkage to resources to have a healthy baby.
The juice, choose like a cranberry juice instead of orange, right?
Meanwhile, Sonia Lindo knows the risks to her unborn child are far from over, having received no prenatal care until now. But she's hopeful with the right help, her baby won't become one of the tens of thousands that die each year in the US before their first birthday. Steve Moore, TRT World, Orlando, Florida.
So you can see, even here in the United States, there are different communities, communities of color, communities, low-income communities, communities with immigrants, lots of different factors, lots of different communities that also are not receiving the appropriate care they need, and the maternal and infant mortality rates are rising and not decreasing. And so one of the ways that this can be, this can be addressed is through having a doula. So what is a doula? So a doula is a trained and experienced person in pregnancy, labor, birth, breastfeeding, and the postpartum period. So they provide continuous support and reassurance to birthing persons and support partners, and they support partners. So let's look at this. So I'm not sure, actually. So you are looking at me. Let me share this screen again. I apologize again for that. So here we go.
Contraction and push. Deep breath. Chin to your chest and push, 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 push.
This is what I was born to do. No matter how much time I spend with the girl or how little time, you're nurturing her so she can nurture the baby.
So age is also important to consider. Age is also important to consider, especially for teens, young mothers that are women of color, and or that are women of color in low income, low socioeconomic areas, also in areas where there is a lot of racism and not a lot of supports for women of color in the birthing process. And so at the Parent Information Center, our goal is to make sure that all families are supported. We have been doing this for 36 years, supporting families. Our main focus has been on families and children with disabilities from birth to 21. We do, however, recognize that a lot of the support, care, and education and advocacy that you give to parents during the pregnancy, during childbirth, and postpartum benefits the child, help prevents some outcomes and some negative outcomes, and actually works to strengthen the family and provide them those connections they need to be successful in the child's later education and in the family's life and relationships. So what does a doula provide? A doula is a birth worker. They are not a medical provider. They provide support and comfort, information, and resources for a family, and particularly for a birthing person. So they provide education about childbirth and newborn care, continuous support to a mother before, during, and after birth, and they help to identify birth preferences and advocate with care providers. They are part of a community. We, as doulas, practice collaboration. We collaborate with other community groups and members, hospitals, the Sussex, particularly in Delaware, the Sussex County Health Coalition, and WIC and the Food Bank, which are important resources for families. Why would you have a doula? What is important about a doula for all women but in particular for communities of color? Well, it has been shown that there are fewer C-sections and fewer repeat C-sections. So if a woman has had a C-section, then she is less likely to have a repeat one if there is a doula there. Increased breastfeeding rates, shorter hospital stays, more satisfaction with the birth experience, and then lower costs to the family, insurers, and hospitals. Why is prenatal support important? So that is before birth. Well, it improves childbirth outcomes and reduces the rates of cesarean deliveries, prematurity, illness in newborns, and the likelihood of postpartum depression. And as we said, it improves the overall satisfaction with the experience of childbirth care. Postpartum support, so that's after the birth, helps decrease the fatigue, tiredness, and pain of the person that has just given birth, increase rates of breastfeeding initiation and longevity, improves that parent-child attachment and bonding, decreases postpartum depression, loneliness, and anxiety, and increases parent advocacy and provides families with medical and mental health resources for themselves and their children. So this is one of the first webinars in a series that we are doing for all families, all community members, but in particular, those families that are experiencing pregnancy right now and or are in the postpartum period, or medical professionals and birth workers that are working with these families. So today we touched a little bit on some of the cultural and religious influences on childbirth. Next week on the 25th, we are going to be talking with WIC and the food bank about nutrition and exercise during pregnancy. We're going to talk about COVID-19 and how that has changed the doula's participation, birth workers' participation, and then also the experience for those that are having babies during COVID-19, during the pandemic. Non-medical options in childbirth, grief in pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum, because that is also a real part of the experience and is something that families experience. Lactation in pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum. And then the very last one is about that postpartum experience. And we will be touching on some of the different cultural differences in the postpartum period in more detail in that webinar. So I hope you will join us. If you are interested in becoming a doula or exploring what that would look like, we do have a community doula program. We are now currently accepting applications. It is a rolling application process, but we do have different cohorts that will work together for certification towards being a doula. The first cohort, the application deadline is March 19th, and the interviews are March 25th and 26th. And then they will start the program on April 12th. However, as I said, the application is rolling and we will be doing other cohorts in the future. If you are interested, please send me an email at candrews@pickofdell.org. Go to our website at pickofdell.org or contact us by phone at 302-999-7394. Thank you so much for listening, for bearing with me during the technical difficulties. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to give me a call or an email. Thank you.